For our latest Disrupted Live, we've been asking the question, how can digital transformation drive productivity and equality? Without further ado, let's introduce our great panel that we have lined up for today's Disrupted live event. Let's first of all go over to the French capital, Paris, and say hello to Audrey Blanc, who's the head of division at the Digital Economy Policy Department at the OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, originally from the US, but today in France. Hi to you, Audrey.
Hello.
Nice to see you there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Looking forward to your contribution. Also in Paris today, we've got Yves Burnett, who's the Senior Managing Director for Europe at Accenture Technology. Bonjour, or hello to you, Yves.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Nice to see you there. Looking forward to your contribution too. In Florence, in Italy, one of my favorite cities, of course, alongside Paris as well, Zuzana Sladkova is a policy leader fellow at the School of Transnational Governance at the European University Institute, originally from Slovakia, but today, as I say, in Florence. Hi to you, Zuzana.
Hello.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us for this debate today. And last but not least, we're going to Belgium and Brussels and Malte Lohan, who's the Director General of Orgalim, which is Europe's technology industries, representing tech firms and companies right across Europe. Hi to you, Malte.
Very good afternoon. Pleasure to be here.
A good starting point for our debate, the disruption caused to business by the COVID-19 pandemic. How has the pandemic fast-tracked the digital transformation?
I mean, digital transformation has not waited for the pandemic, to be there. It was there before. So the main thing that we have personally seen as a company providing this digital transformation services is a simple acceleration. We saw a lot of companies, who are going through a transformation, who were thinking about launching something, and most of them, they even accelerated it or started it. And we were a bit surprised about that ability to accelerate the decision. This has generated, obviously, many challenges because technology is not limited in capacity across Europe. So we saw a lot of challenges to get the people we need. So that has been obviously one of the challenge because the demand has been simply booming.
Quite a lot of people before thought that it's something there, it's for the tech experts, it's for the geek guys, but now everyone is affected. And this is the major change, that it's not only about a few people, it's about everyone, and everyone has to adapt.
We actually did a poll online on our Euronews platforms just before this debate. We were asking the question, how has COVID-19 accelerated the digital transformation of your workplace? Some people said it had somewhat accelerated it, but the vast majority said it considerably accelerated it. This fast track digital transformation that we've been talking about.
Those companies that were faster in digitalizing, or perhaps also selling solutions for digitalization to other companies and other sectors, those have done particularly well.
When you step back and look at the data, there's so much more digital transformation to be had across sectors and across the world. And so I'll give one interesting example. In the pandemic, the internet exchange point in Sao Paulo, Brazil, became the largest exchange point around the world to interconnect traffic. So the internet exchange points are crossroads where providers exchange packets to deliver your internet traffic. And Sao Paulo is now the largest exchange in the world, and we saw huge amounts of change and bandwidth demands around the world.
We have fantastic champions in digitally transforming industries here in Europe. The World Economic Forum, which has looked at this transformation, which is ahead of us, and has ranked countries according to their readiness to take advantage of that transformation, has found that of the 25 top placed markets, 18 are in Europe.
Out of the top 25 countries, 18 are in Europe. I think this is one of the key problems when you ask about, why Europe is lagging behind, because Europe does not act as one, but still acts as 27 member states. And this is why we cannot actually face digital transformation and the impact, because we are not unified. We are facing two big giants, China and the US, which are actually the ones that hold the digital monopolies. And we do not have one in Europe.
I disagree with the medicine, as it were, which is we need to create another giant like a Google or an Amazon or Huawei. If we do, as a result of the right policies, and they emerge as natural giants, great. But I think the goal, the sort of what is success, cannot be just about creating a bigger, meaner company, because I don't believe that the biggest are going to be the winners of tomorrow. I believe the fastest are going to be the winners of tomorrow.
We know that we have only 5% of women as managing partners of the tech companies. If we want to bring change, and we know that we need feminist digital future, we need women in all the positions.
I think this is a reality which the industry has now really woken up to, because you now start seeing leaders, women leaders, speaking up much more than they did in the past and kind of leading by example. I think you see a tone in the conversation. So I think the mindset is changing and is recognizing that this is a huge problem that we have to tackle. It's a problem on principle. As a matter of principle, it's just wrong that there is no better balance. But I think it's a matter of competitiveness. And I think this is the point which the industry is also waking up to. We are missing an incredibly valuable part of the workforce within the available labor market, and we are desperate for qualified workforce here in Europe. We are, always scratching our heads. Where are we going to find those workers of the future? Well, many of them are right in front of us, and we simply haven't managed to make that work.
We had 3 industrial revolutions before, which were mostly led by men. So this can be also the problem. Now we have the 4th industrial revolution in front of us. And we need to address the needs of the women. And we need to put the women at the core of the industrial revolution. Otherwise, we would lose it again. And we would have the same unequal world as we have now.
Before, we were always recruiting, attaching to an office. So you live in any city in Europe, but you had to be in an office. You had to go there. Now we started a few months ago to recruit in places where we have no offices, and in the contract there is no obligation to go to any office. And in that recruitment, we recruit more women than men. And I can tell you, in a few months we reach like 700 people just like this. The appetite to join in this model was extremely important. So we have to find a balance to ensure we respond to people's expectations. So that's the way I do. And if I look to the numbers, I think we're going to be at 50% men and women in the next 3 years on a team of 50,000 people.
Access to connectivity, as I mentioned before, creating inequalities. So, and it's no longer just, for a decade or so, we talked about connecting the unconnected, getting everyone to have an internet connection. And, if you just look at that as the bar that you're setting, then it looks pretty good. But when you start to think about everything that people need to do with the technology, then it's not sufficient to just have a connection. You've got to have a high quality connection. And we've seen that in COVID, and it's really accelerated, I think, demand. And you see countries putting a significant amount of public resources into accelerating connectivity infrastructure, for example, to rural areas, to serve underserved areas at a high quality connectivity.
We have to work on the education and skills. We have to engage women in the tech sector, and also we need to improve the flexibility of the labor market, especially after the COVID pandemic. We know that we do not have women specialists in the ICT sectors. It's only 17%. We know that we have only 34% women graduates from the STEM. And we know that if we connect more than 600 million women to internet, it will increase the GDP up to 18 billion euros. So the question is how to do it.
We need to develop skills on specialized technology because there is specific needs that exist today, whether it is IT for the manufacturing. But the other thing is to create the flexibility. We need to train people to adapt themselves quickly. We need to stop thinking that we're going to train for a life. People started to realize, the risk of losing control of their data and the way they will be utilized. So I think the key is that the digital transformation needs to be led by a responsible leader. And more companies are making statements of, I want to be a company with impact, I want to be a sustainable company, I want to be a responsible company. So buyers will go to companies that are matching their values.
Years and years ago, we did a recommendation before my time at the OECD focused on climate change and sustainable digital infrastructure, and it fell a bit by the wayside over the years. And I think COVID has reignited the interest from the digital side to go back to some of these instruments that we started years ago and say, where are we now 5 and 10 years later? I'll give another example. We just revised our broadband recommendation for connectivity. So this is a core OECD instrument, legal instrument that it guides governments in doing that, in building policy for connectivity infrastructure that I mentioned earlier. And for the first time ever, we were successful in getting countries to agree to a principle on sustainability and thinking about sustainability and climate change when they're building out their infrastructure. So we see a lot of change and promise and focus on those important issues, particularly with regard to the digital transformation.
Listen, everyone, we've only got a few minutes left, and we've got a few questions coming in here from our audience that I'm very keen to put to you.
As part of the Digital Europe program, there is support to the startup community. This is also part of the development cooperation program, the Global Europe. There is also a lot of investment into digitalization of business, as what already my colleague said. And we have also investments to the digital unicorns, which is sort of a type of startup that should bring billions of euros back. So, I mean, the Commission in the next 7 years, and especially with the Next Generation EU, will do a lot in terms of supporting business in digital transformation, but also supporting its citizens.
Yeah, to the European Union's credit, they are making a huge amount of funding available, and this is coming from a number of different instruments. There is the innovation funding under the so-called Horizon Europe program, so innovation projects. There's the Digital Europe program. There are so-called digital innovation hubs, which are centers of knowledge and expertise across Europe, which are designed to support small and medium-sized enterprises in their transformation. And there is, most important perhaps, this groundbreaking new target of 20% of the 750 billion euros of recovery spending that should be invested by the member states in digitalization. So there really is a massive level of support for this now. Again, the recognition that this has to happen is there. Now it is all about deployment and implementation.
Thanks for watching our highlights of the latest Disrupted live events. If you'd like to watch the debate in full, then just click the link. Bye for now.